Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another thrilling installment of Morning Drew, the podcast. I am, of course, your host, Andrew, aka Tank, aka other stuff. And this week, it's just me, baby, just you and me. I did reach out to some people to chat, but I failed to consider that there was a holiday this weekend in the form of Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. As well as, I think, President's Day. And so lots of folks are traveling. And so it was easier to just do a solo episode. And on top of that, last week's episode came out very good in my opinion. Please check it out if you haven't. Episode 6 with my good buddy Michael. Always a good time talking to my buddy Michael. But editing that episode was a fucking project. It took me several days, and so I'm happy to take it a little easier this week. I am feeling good. I'm doing okay. Like I said, yesterday was the big romantic holiday known far and wide as Valentine's. Therefore, I have a glass of wine here with me, some vino, a nice white Zinfandel, nice kind of blush pink. Clean, fresh, not too sweet. Notes of fresh fruit, strawberry. I get a little bit of cantaloupe. Very nice. I have a big ass jug of it left over because Angela was not as fond of it as one would be led to believe just based on how it looks. It's beautifully pink. It is not as sweet as one would think, so I got this big old jug to burn through on my own, which, hey man, fine by me. So I'm sipping on that. Yeah, Valentine's Day was yesterday. We had a nice time. This is the first year, I think, in our entire relationship that we both did not have work-related obligations. And as such, we both were blindsided by the fact that we had the day together. So we slept in, and then we had some leftover pizza from the night prior. We were going to get a heart-shaped pizza from Pizza Hut, but I was very greedy and was craving pizza the night previous. And so I got a pizza. There was a bunch left over, so we had that for breakfast, which was fun. And then we just hung the fuck out. We ordered some Chinese, and then we watched a documentary about Jim Henson, which was really cool. The Muppets and all that. Some of the projects he worked on later in his career looked cool as hell, but watching it, I recognized that as a kid, I would not be digging that at all whatsoever. But as an adult, I'm like, that looks sick. I kind of want to check that out, so I might look into that. But yeah, we watched that, and then Angela was kind enough to gift me a copy of the Scott Pilgrim video game, which has co-op. So we played that for a little bit. I'm a big fan of the Scott Pilgrim franchise in general. Big fan of the movie. It's, in fact, probably I consider my favorite movie. Not a good movie. I mean, I guess I would say it's a good movie, but certainly not the best movie. But I love it a lot. I think it had a pretty heavy impact on my decision to pursue comedy writing. Big fan of the comics. Big fan of Brian Lee O'Malley. I try to keep up with him. I follow him online and stuff. But the video game, I don't love. Which doesn't make sense because, for one, I like Scott Pilgrim. I also really like Anna Managuchi, who made the soundtrack. I love their album Endless Fantasy. The soundtrack just gives me anxiety. The Scott Pilgrim soundtrack. The Scott Pilgrim video game soundtrack, I should say. Made me really anxious, and the controls were just so stiff and sluggish, and it was just making me really angry. So Angela will enjoy playing that, because she seems to enjoy it, so she can do that. And I'll probably still continue to attempt to play it, because we have it. But yeah, that was that last night. It was a really nice Valentine's. A very pleasant surprise that we got to spend it together, especially considering her line of work, which is in the retail industry, specializing in adult toys. She was fortunate in that she had the day off, so yeah. And then I'm obviously have no obligations currently. I'm still quarantining on that pandemic lifestyle. Today was a nice day. I worked out, which it might be why I'm actually feeling a little loose from this wine I'm drinking. But If anything, that just greases up the lips a little bit to do some more chitty chatting to my microphone here. My cat is sitting in my office chair. At this point, it's ridiculous to continue addressing it as my office chair. It is clearly just his at this point. I'm sitting in Angela's office space, technically, which is immediately next to mine. But I've just got everything flipped backwards ways. So, normally, I am able to place pillows behind my microphone to reduce echo, but I'm trying it without this time, and I did a couple of tests without the pillow, and it sounded fine to me, so I'm trying it out. So hopefully this makes things a little easier moving forward, that I don't have to talk into a bunch of pillows. But if it sounds like shit, then that's on me, I guess. What the hell do I even talk about on this podcast? I talk about what I'm digging. What am I digging, dude? Well, what did I write down? Flamin' Hot Lays? Oh, shit. Yeah, those were bomb. They were having a sale on Super Bowl Sunday at the grocery store on a lot of the chips. Am I allowed to say the formal name of the big game after it has already happened? I understand that it gets flagged if people utter the event that shall remain unnamed, the big football match. I tried to be careful to avoid it, but I think one or two slipped in the previous episode of Morning Drew. It was the day of the big game, and they had a sale on a bunch of chips, and one of them was Flaming Hot Lay's Kettle Chips. You know your boy had to grab up a couple of bags of them some bitches. You know I had to check them out. And boy, am I glad I did, because they were scrumptious. I really am kicking myself for not also picking up a tub of cream cheese, because those fuckers are so perfect for dipping. They were nice and firm and moderately scoop-shaped. If you attended middle school at the same time as me, then I don't know if middle schoolers still do it, but at least when I was in middle school, the food pyramid might as well have had a chunk of just hot Cheetos and cream cheese. Most of the time on a bagel, but also just good for dipping. Or if you're crazy, you would just squirt a cream cheese packet into the bag and just like scrumple it up and like Go-Gurt tube the cream cheesy chips to the top and eat them that way. My stomach is burning just thinking about it. But boy, if I could see myself now with those hot lays, you could say those weren't the only hot lays going on last night. Am I telling, hey Kim, are you picking up what I... Sex is what I'm referring to. The potato chip, the kettle cooked Lay's Flamin' Hot potato chip. Fucking scrumptious, man. Holy hell. So good. They sold out because I went back to try and acquire additional bags, only to find that they no longer are in stock, which is a crying shame. But also probably for the best, because let's not forget that your boy is on his health journey, which you wouldn't know considering that in the last 2 days, 100% of my diet has consisted of pizza and Chinese food. But it was a holiday, man. It was the big romantic holiday, and Angela loves me for who I am, fluffy or not, though I'm sure probably don't want to get too fluffy for romance reasons. So those chips were really good. Yeah, man, thinking about what I used to eat in middle school like a dumbass, holy shit. We used to also put nacho cheese in the hot Cheetos. Like, delicious while it was happening, but in hindsight, I'm like, dude, why? How was that legally allowed to be sold on the premises? I do remember some teachers giving some students a stern talking to about it, but of course they couldn't do anything. It was their money to buy whatever snacks they wanted. But when the time comes that I have young people that I'm responsible for, and they are going to school, I really hope that the schools kind of get their shit together in regards to what they're feeding these people. That's insane how much of my diet consisted of hot Cheetos and some form of liquid cheese, and pizza and burgers, and they had slushies. What the fuck were they thinking? What a broken system we exist in, huh? Let's not go down that path. I could go big. We're all just a bunch of sheep, man. They're keeping us fat and stupid so that they can keep us in our seats, bro. And there is truth to that, but this isn't the Tinfoil Hat podcast. This is the Morning Drew podcast, where I talk about what I'm into, and I tell some jokes. Let's continue talking about what I'm into. I cleaned my cat's litter box, like I deep cleaned it, That felt really good. It was not fun to do. It was very stinky. This is the first pet I've ever owned on my own. Although I grew up with dogs, love dogs, don't get me wrong, but a cat I decided fit my lifestyle better currently, and so I have a cat, and it is the first cat I've ever owned that I've ever even been close with, really. My cousins had cats, and I did enjoy the cat's company, but this is my first cat. In the beginning, I overcompensated, so I was deep cleaning his litter box like once every other week or something, and in doing so, I realized that's kind of overkill, and so I spread it out to once every month, and even that, I was like, this doesn't seem necessary. Foolishly, I decided to ride the lightning and let it ride. I couldn't even tell you how long it was since I deep cleaned it previously, but it was certainly very slightly too long because that shit fucking stank. The litter was not clumping like it used to, which is probably a telltale sign. And also the cat was just like meowing at me every time he had to go in there. He's like, come on, man, you're gonna make me go in there. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what's wrong, buddy? You want to go pee? In hindsight, I realized he was like, I don't want to go in the stinky box, man. Come on. So I de-cleaned that, and although it was not difficult. It was gross. Not that gross, though. It just smelled bad. So I had to put a bunch of masks on to cover the stink. And I cleaned it, and it looks much better, and I can tell the cat is much happier. I feel like a responsible pet owner for doing it. Having a cat really is one of the best things I've done for myself in regards to taking care of myself, I guess. Because I obviously have to take care of this thing, and in doing so, I'm realizing ways where I am failing to take care of myself. Like when I feed the cat, I feed him like what I've been told is high quality cat food. And then I'll make myself food and the cat will beg for it. And I'm like, you can't eat this, you'll die. And it's like, well, why am I able to eat it then? Why am I feeding myself this if I wouldn't even give it to my own cat? Hasn't stopped me from eating pizza, but again, we're living, we're learning, we're laughing, we're loving. Same with hygiene. I brush and I wipe my cat down with the anti-hypoallergenic, whatever the fuck they're called, wipes. And I'm like, if I can do this for my cat, I can wear more than just the same 3 t-shirts every week. I won't go into the dirty details of my hygienic routine, but I can tell you that owning a cat has allowed me to reel it in for the better. It's been nice. Oh, and also, like, he keeps me on a schedule, kind of, because I have to feed him, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm feeding him, I should probably eat something. And, he gets me up early, and since I'm up early, I'm like, oh, well, I'm up, might as well make some coffee and write some jokes. Like, if not for the fact that I had to wake up and feed him, I wouldn't have written, like, even a fraction of the number of jokes I've written, or at the very least spent the amount of time writing that I have. I'm very grateful for him. And it's also why I don't have a problem letting him sit in my office chair, because it's like, nah, he's my little guy. He can have the office chair for now. What else we got? Maybe the wine was a bad idea. Fuck it. It's really good. I decided I gotta reel in the energy drinks. Although they are delicious and I love them, after speaking with Michael and putting into words my feelings towards sweet stuff, I realized that I was overdoing it. I have a can or two in the cupboard for emergency reasons, if I have to, drive, or if I haven't had anything that day, or, I feel more comfortable having an emergency caffeine stash, but otherwise, sticking to coffee, and even that I'm trying to cut back on a little. My family has a history of kidney stones, and I understand too much caffeine can have a hand in that. Sandwiches. And sometimes a food is just a staple in your life, and then it falls off, and then it just comes back just better than ever. Who could beat a fucking turkey and cheese sandwich, man? Like, I used to have those for lunch when I was going to school in my younger years, high school, middle school, elementary school, all that. Man, I was sleeping on sandwiches. I would eat them and it was fine. And then I went without eating sandwiches for so long. And recently, just having some lunch meat and a loaf of bread around, I'm feeling kind of hungry. Oh, I guess I can make myself a sandwich. You eat the sandwich? Bro, So good. How did I forget about sandwiches? And you can get all different kinds of lunch meat. You can get turkey, even the turkeys by themselves. What do you want? You want a smoked turkey, mesquite turkey, honey roasted, buffalo. I guess that's all the turkey. Or just regular oven roasted. You could get ham. I'm not a big fan of ham, personally. Ham I never vibed with because I would be eating ham and enjoying it, and then I always got like a chewy bit or a cartilagey bit or something, and it would just ruin whatever amount of food I was eating in that moment. Love salami. Probably my favorite lunch meat, salami. Genoa, one of the Wiggly Boys. Love a Genoa salami. Not crazy about Italian dry salami. That one I think has a little bit too much of a whatever spices in there. I think it's just peppercorns, right? Too much for me. Overwhelming. We had bologna around at one point. A bologna sandwich is such a nice treat. Bologna and mayo and American cheese. We don't keep American cheese around, but I think I just had some on hand for some reason. I think I had been craving a specific scrambled egg, and so I had a few slices and I put it on a bologna sandwich, and I was like, buddy, roast beef is okay. Angela is a big fan of roast beef, so I'll bring some home for her sometimes if I remember to. For me, if it's not red, then I don't want it. I find that I always end up with a chewy piece of roast beef if it's well done, and so I don't even risk it. But get me a good roast beef with mayonnaise on a sandwich, then oh boy, not too shabby. And we just use wheat bread, whatever wheat bread is on sale. Sometimes it's the nicer ones, like the Oral Wheat or whatever. I'm a cheapskate sometimes, and so I'll just get the market brand, whatever it is. Alright, well, that's all I wrote down. I've been writing a lot of, or I should say, I've been spending more time writing jokes for my personal stand-up, which I'm excited about. It's good to start working that muscle again. So I'm eager to make my return to the live stage. Although I'm going to start hitting the Zoom open mics harder. Just because if I get whatever momentum I can get to shake off whatever rust I've accumulated, the better. But all this time I've spent writing jokes has been very good for me and my pursuits. So I thank you all for keeping up and for your support. And I thank whoever invented stand-up, fucking Bob Hope, maybe. But I guess there's no reason not to just jump into some jokes here. I did quite a bit of writing this week, and I think I came up with some okay stuff. So let me go ahead and share with you these jokes I wrote. Let's see, with one I wrote today. As a kid, I read A Series of Unfortunate Events. The unfortunate events were whenever I had to read those shitty books. I liked those books. I think I discussed this with Angela on air, where I stopped reading after the Carnivorous Carnival because that was, at the time, the most up-to-date book. And I think maybe 2 or 3 came out after that I never bothered with, because at that point, my momentum had been lost. And I had moved on to... Was that before I read Harry? No, impossible. I was going to say, was that before I read Harry Potter? But that's preposterous to even think, because at that point the movies were coming out. I attempted to read Lord of the Rings over the quarantine, especially when it first began. I have a copy that my cousin lent me long ago that I still have that he's probably gotten a new copy at this one because it's his favorite. Shout out Adam. Love you, buddy. Thank you for, I guess, technically giving me your copy of the Lord of the Rings series. I'm sorry I never gave it back. I'm also sorry I never read it. But I still have it, and it's in good hands, and I will be glad to return it to you if you ever want it. Although I do want to read it, and I attempted to at the beginning of this quarantine, but, man, I just couldn't get into it. Not that I was having trouble getting into the content itself, because it was charming as fuck, man. I was enjoying what I was reading, but I would just lose concentration, or Angela would come home and I'd start talking to her, or whatever other distraction came up. But I would like to read that. It's been a long time since I saw the movies, and I guess I could just do that, but I've read from many sources that the books are worth reading, even if you are very familiar with the films. That's kind of the only joke I wrote today that I liked. Everything else kind of sucked. Energy drinks are being correlated with young people with depression. It would seem the monster was inside of them all along. Nothing to be joked about, a very serious issue. Whoever said honesty is the best policy hasn't been milking the return policy at Walmart. I've never returned anything to Walmart, but I understand they have a lenient return policy. I was originally going to say Target, but I feel like Walmart is funnier than Target. But from what I understand, you don't even need a receipt. You can just show up and be like, I bought this here, I don't want it. And they're like, okay. I remember hearing that Nordstrom will let you return literally anything. I think the big story was at one point someone like returned some tires. I had a friend that worked at Nordstrom, and they would tell me that a lot of women, I shouldn't say only women, people, basically just rented purses. Like they would buy a purse, use it for several years, and then come back and be like, all right, I'd like to return this purse. And it's like, this purse is 8 years old. And they're like, all right, I'm returning it. But there are lots of Nordstroms around, so they're doing something right. DoorDash is under fire because they spent $5.5 million to advertise a $1 million donation that they had made. I don't expect any less from them. They've been charging me $3 for my $1 tacos for years now. Order and delivery is too dang expensive, folks. God damn. I had a joke here that I like that I meant to tighten up that I never got around to. I'll read it to you as is. My wife is a great scholar because she recognizes the importance of analyzing history. It's the same reason I have to clear my web browser every night. I could definitely tighten that up. I don't love that I lean on my wife jokes. Girlfriend, I feel like just isn't as funny as wife. Wife is just funnier. It's a kind of a funny word in and of itself. Like, strip the definition away. Like, you look at the word, it kind of looks like wipe, but it has that soft F. Like, it starts high with the I, and then it just, like, ends with, like, a fluffy whereas girlfriend is clunky. I'm getting a little too deep on joke building here. Fuck it, it's important. This is my podcast, goddammit. And I can get into the dirty details with you if I want. But then also just like wife by definition is just kind of funny that like you just have this person that you chose to be with. And sometimes they're annoying. Like, why would you choose to be with this person that's annoying? It's like, it's because I love them. Not just wife, that it's reciprocated to the husband. But my wife is one hot piece of ass. The hole, specifically. She's an asshole. That's not true. I love my partner very much. I think they are quite nice. And they are kind to me and others. And supportive. And they titties is hella fat, though. I uncovered my wife's big secret when I found her second phone. She's been playing Candy Crush without me. Also, her boyfriend says hi. A lot of wife jokes I've been writing. I seem to have monogamy on the mind. What gives? The only rings you'll see me with are the ones under my eyes. My favorite album by Nirvana is... Wait. I shouldn't have drank this wine. I'm tipsy. I'm having fun, though. This is fun. We're having fun. Go easier on yourself, Andrew, okay? You're literally talking to yourself. And other people are choosing to listen. And I am grateful for them. Thank you. Oy, oy, oy. My favorite album is Nevermind by Nirvana. I've never listened to it. I'm just a pedophile. Let the records know that I am not actually a pedophile. I love adult people. In my case, women. Shakespeare referred to sex as the beast with two backs. If he were to ever see me, though, he'd have to call it the lonely snake handler. Masturbating. California cannabis workers are now eligible for the COVID vaccine. You know, those distributors could learn a thing or two about getting high on your own supply. God damn it. This one I thought was funny, but I never bothered to finish it. It's like, my parents told me they would always have my back, but that wasn't enough for me. I said, you still haven't even given me back my nose. The game, when you're a baby, they take your nose, I have your nose. They never gave me my nose back. How can I expect them to have my back? They never gave me my nose back. Something smells fishy. Not that I would know. My girlfriend and I are... Oh, wait a minute. I rewrote that one. Where's the one I rewrote? Okay, no, I can just say it. I remember it. My girlfriend and I met on an app for depressed people. Okay, no, hold on. My girlfriend and I met on a dating app for depressed people. It is called Grumble. Grumble, 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 grumble. Jeff Bezos stepped down as the CEO of Amazon so he could concentrate on his company. What the fuck is it called? Space. He wants to go to space. He heard there's no unions up there. Snapchat is adding a feature that will remind users to go through their friends list and remove inactive users. My list is so small that they just told me to delete the damn thing. Snapchat I have, and I use mostly to post pictures of my cat. It should be called Snapcat. That was not a joke I wrote down. That was off the cuff, off the dome. When I was young, I assumed that since Santa lived at the North Pole, whatever lived at the South Pole must be evil, and that's why I've never trusted penguins. Who would trust those pengies? Coal-fired power has suffered during the pandemic. People have been feeling so much pressure they all turned into diamonds. How are we supposed to use coal when they're all diamonds now, guys? Ooh, a new MySpace-style website called Fahey wants to re-simplify how people use social media. It would be even simpler for me because I don't even have 8 friends anymore. How am I supposed to fill the top 8 if I don't even have 8 friends? Oy, oy, oy. The market has been flooded with fake N95 masks. They say you can tell the difference by a fake one and the real one by asking yourself, is this medical grade mask supposed to look like Michael Myers? Oh, I never talked about. I just remembered there was something else I'm digging this week. The song has been stuck in my head this whole time. I don't know how it slipped my mind. I'm done telling jokes. Fuck these jokes. I'm over it. I'm going to wrap this up talking about the thing that I meant to talk about this whole time. What's this thing I'm digging, dude? There's this game. It's a Flash game. I think that's what they're still called, even though Flash no longer exists. But basically, the game exists on Newgrounds.com, which is just free content for the most part. You can watch little cartoons and videos. You can play games, formerly called Flash games, but there's one game in particular I've been really into called Friday Night Funkin. Funk, Funkin, Friday Night Funkin. It's pretty much it's a rhythm game in the style of Dance Dance Revolution, but it has Parappa the Rappa vibes to it, in that it's like you kind of like battling against an NPC, and you kind of go back and forth doing like up and down arrows. And I did play it. It's quite fun. It's what you'd expect from a rhythm game, but the soundtrack is killer. Oh my god, the fucking music bangs, dude. Bangers on bangers. It's so freaking good. And the fact that it's free is just icing on the cake. You can go to newgrounds.com and play it. I just googled Friday Night Funkin' and it was one of the first results. I think you can play it on the guy's website too. But that one I was not able to load. I use my MacBook. So sometimes things just choose not to load because not everything is compatible with Mac. But on Newgrounds I was able to load it. And it's another thing that was funny is it was made by what's his name? Like Ninja Muffin 99 or something. I guess I should look it up since I'm talking about his product, but like it's just funny how some things never change. That like kids in like middle school, early high school who go on these websites still sometimes have kind of cringy names. But one thing that they're improving on is that they are making some fine products. Let me tell you, and Friday Night Funkin' is good as hell. It is so fun. The art is so fun and bouncy and cute, I guess is a word you could use. I like cute stuff. I like cute stuff. Okay? I can like whatever I want. And goddamn, the music is so fucking good. In particular, I really like, I guess technically it's like it feels like the boss fight where you're fighting like a demon lady. I think it's technically the mom character. Her boss fight is really fun, like the animation in particular is really fun, all the character design is really goofy. Even the, I guess you could call it like the tutorial stage where you're fighting against the demon dad. I really like the last two songs of his. My favorite song out of all of them, I think, is, how do I describe this? It's called Roses. And yeah, Friday Night Funkin'. It's pretty awesome. And it also took me back to the days of going on newgrounds.com and looking at all the fun content on there. I'm starting to feel kind of fatigued here. I'm thinking drinking this wine was kind of a mistake. Especially, I guess, since I exercised maybe like an hour or two ago, and maybe this is hitting my bloodstream a little more aggressively than I would have anticipated. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate you. Sorry this was kind of a mess. I don't think it was that bad. I'm mad at myself for forgetting to talk about Friday Night Funkin' before I told my jokes, because I like closing on jokes. Can I find one joke to close on? Let me see if I could find a joke to close on. Bears are known for hating German music. That's why you never want to polka the bear. Polka the bear. Thanks for listening, gang. As always, I really appreciate you. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Please. I will have guests on in the coming weeks that I'm excited about. I reached out to some good friends, and I'm eager to speak with them because I miss them. And it'll be a good time. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't. I made a new Twitter. I don't know if I mentioned to that. So if you followed my old Twitter, it's dead. I killed it. My new Twitter is @Drew J. Fahey. And my Instagram is @TankJFahey. Yeah, man. Just be safe out there. We're almost on the other side of this. Drink water. And hey, if you don't like the way the water tastes, consider this. Put a little lemon in there. That son of a bitch is going to change your life. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.